Suddenly, Scrooge awoke as again the bell was upon the stroke of one. Scrooge rose from his bed, trembling at the sight of light emanating from the next room. The old hearth was ablaze, the room transformed. Holly, mistletoe, and ivy hung all about. Sitting on the throne of meats, red hot chestnuts, fruits, plum puddings, cakes, and seething bowls of punch was a jolly giant, glorious to see, with more in his hand, a glowing torch shaped like a cornucopia. Come in, and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present, woke the joyful spirit, who was dressed in a deep green robe, bordered in white fur. Spirit, said Scrooge submissively, I went forth last night and learned a lesson. Tonight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it. Touch my robe, laughed the ghost. The room melted away to reveal the simple home of Bob Cratchit and his humble Christmas Day dinner. In came Bob with Tiny Tim on his shoulder. Alas for Tiny Tim, he bore a little crutch, and had his limbs supported by an iron brace. With his contented family gathered around the hearth, Bob proposed a toast. A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears, said Bob. God bless us, everyone, said Tiny Tim. Scrooge quietly asked with an interest he never felt before, Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live. I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, replied the ghost, and a crutch without a owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die. Scrooge and the Spirit stood alone in an open space. It had been a long night. Strangely, while Scrooge remained unchanged in his outward form, the ghost appeared older. Looking upon the aging ghost, Scrooge was startled to notice a pair of wretched, starving children who appeared beneath his great robe. Their names are Ignorance and Want, said the Spirit, and they belong to man. Have they no refuge or resource? Cried Scrooge. The ghost mocked Scrooge with his own words. Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? The clock struck 12. Scrooge looked about him for the ghost, and saw it not. Ebenezer Scrooge. Shaking and clutching at the spirit's robe, Scrooge cried out, "Spirit, hear me! I am not the man I once was. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me that I may sponge away the writing on this stone." Mysteriously, the fog began to shrink. Wide-eyed, Scrooge watched as it collapsed. It became ever smaller, dwindled down, and transformed into a bedpost. Yes, and the bedpost was his own. "I will live in the past, the present, and the future," Scrooge repeated as he scrambled out of bed. "The spirits of all three shall strive within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and Christmas time be praised!" Scrooge's arms swelled. He opened his window and, laughing and crying in the same breath, began to shout, "Merry Christmas to one and all!" He called downward to a peasant boy, promising a shilling and a half crown to deliver a huge Christmas turkey to the Cratchit house. Scrooge dressed himself in his best, then went out upon the street, greeting everyone he met with a good-humored and delighted smile. He happened upon the portly gentleman who had been collecting for charity the day before. He offered his deepest apology for his previous behavior, and he pledged them a huge donation. Scrooge then found himself at Fran's door, and knocking, asked if he could come to dinner. It was a wonderful party, with wonderful games, wonderful unanimity, wonderful happiness. On the next morning, Scrooge arrived early at the office to catch Bob Cratchit 18 and a half minutes late in his arrival. Vain in anger, Scrooge began to scold Bob and then suddenly laughed. "A Merry Christmas, Bob! A Merrier Christmas, my good fellow, than I have given you for many a year. I'll raise your salary and endeavor to assist your struggling family. Pick up the fires and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit." Indeed, Scrooge was a better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well. May that be truly said of us, of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone!